Hello, Radiant One, and welcome to Spiritual Business with Mariaestela, the show and podcast for soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs and Magdalene's Rising wanting to lead with love in business and life. I'm your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Mariaestela, and it is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to join my newsletter to stay connected and updated. You can do so on my website, mariaestela.com, where you can also find previous episodes and their show notes. Here is today's episode. Hello, Radiant One, and welcome to today's episode in which I am going to be talking about and sharing one of the most powerful tools that we have in our toolbox as soul-driven, spiritual, heart-based entrepreneurs, and that is consistency. I often laugh when I receive an email or in a session one of my clients tell me, how mind blown they are by the power of consistency once they've gotten into their rhythm, the way that they want to be working in their businesses, the way they want to be showing up in their businesses, and begin to see the results of that. And because at first they may, they trust me, so of course they listen to what I say, and they listen within, and then they follow my guidance. That's why they're in my business, of course, or in my sessions. However, like I said, I very often have a big smile on my face or laugh when they come back and they're just mind blown by how this actually works, because it's such a simple thing. Consistency is such a very, very easy, simple thing to implement. But the effects and the effects of it, the results of it, can be so powerful and so big that it, like I said, is oftentimes mind-blowing. And I know that because it was for me as well. And so maybe I should start by telling you what I mean by consistency, because it can be a lot of different things. If you're, a spiritual, soul-driven, heart-based entrepreneur within the online marketing world, I'm sure that you've heard that consistency is key. You've heard that, that there's power in showing up. But consistency can actually, apply to many, many different things in your business. First of all, of course, the obvious one is showing up on a weekly basis, whether it be in a newsletter, whether it be in a podcast or a YouTube show. It can be, and I said weekly, but a weekly is my rhythm. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's your rhythm. It can be showing up on a monthly basis, or, it can be bi-weekly, or you have a different schedule. Whenever I work with a client, we find the rhythm of consistency that works for them. And that was in the newsletter in the external form. Of course, there's also then social media. If you have an Instagram account, Facebook, Snapchat, LinkedIn, whatever it is, there can also be a consistency in showing up in that. And that is probably or most likely different from your newsletter or your blog posts or your shows. I don't know. It can also be that you're doing lives or Instagram lives on a daily basis, or you're doing them on a weekly basis. But those are so when I talk about consistency, there is different areas in which we can talk about consistency. And those two that I just mentioned, the blog post newsletter thing and the social media, those are the external things. Then there is the consistency in the internal things. For me, one of the things that really, really turned my showing up, my I don't want to say business, because this was at a time when I was going through the last parts of my latest dark night of the soul. This is what came at the end of it. And what came at the end of it was a commitment to write 2 hours every single day. And it was just one day I knew tomorrow I am going to start writing, and I'm going to be writing for 2 hours every single day. So that was the first thing I did in the morning when I woke up and I had done my practice. Then I would set an alarm on my phone to 2 hours and I would write. And in the beginning, of course, the writing that came out wasn't necessarily the greatest writing, but it was my commitment, because the thing is, when you commit to a rhythm, to a consistency, to a rhythm of consistency, your your resolve grows, your commitment grows, your love for what you're doing grows, and as that expands, you really you strengthen, you get stronger, and it's I don't want to say funny, but it is interesting how, and that goes, of course, because with what you focus on, that is what is strengthened. And so when you choose to focus on showing up for yourself, which, my writing could be seen as, whether, this was not something that I ever shared in the beginning, you shift the focus from fear to love, and that is one of the most powerful things there is in the world. And so expanding from that place, growing from that place, is just I'm trying to find the right words, but satisfying, deeply nourishing. Even though that was a dark night of my soul when I wasn't doing a whole lot of work, it was still shifting my focus, and it was expanding my heart. And so whether you've been in business for a very long time and you have a running business that is running perfectly, and if you've come to this episode, there is something that is calling you. And what I would encourage you to do, or inspire you to do, is create a consistent commitment, or to allow that to grow. What happened from those 2 hours that I wrote every day for almost, I want to say, 6 to 8 months? What happened was I actually, after I came out of it and once my business started taking off, what I realized was that I created a shit ton of content for my blog. I had created the Magdalene Blueprint that you may or may not have heard of. I'll include a link in the show notes. It's a freebie that I have. A lot of the work that I've done on divine masculine and divine feminine essences, everything, all of that came through. It was in bits and pieces, and I had to collect it and put it together, but everything was in there. And so, in terms of you and where you're at, I want to, maybe I've not mentioned something that you either struggle with, or maybe I've mentioned a whole lot that you struggle with, but I want to inspire you to take a review and ask yourself, what area of my business would benefit from me having a consistent practice of something, whether it be starting to do, show up at networks, external networks like group meetings or, brunch meetings, whether it is showing up on social media, whether it is creating a blog post, whether it is committing to researching podcasts and shows that you can be on or want to be on, whether it is learning something new. Hold on, my phone is going off. There's a whole lot of different ways that you can use this, the consistency. And so I want to inspire you or empower you to take a review and ask yourself, like I said, where can I and my business benefit from me having a consistent, committed practice to something. And as you do that, because what is calling you, I like to say, will also bring up everything, because I see our entrepreneurial journey as an awakening journey, as our awakening journey. And so as you move through these things, what will come up for you is there'll probably be a lot of fears or worries. There will probably be limiting beliefs, and so you really need to shift your mindset and probably, or something that is also, and that's what I see in my clients, is having the accountability of someone who is able to hold space for what it is that comes up. And that's, of course, the work that I do. There are others that do that. But if that is something that you would like to have, if accountability is something that you would like to have in your life and your business, don't forget to apply for your free discovery session. You can go to mariaestela.com/apply, and it is a totally free session that allows for us to see if we're the right fit or not. I fully trust and believe that if we are to work together, that will be made very clear to us in our sessions, or in that session. And if it's not, then there is someone else that's right for you. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Make sure that you comment in the blog post. There is a link to that in the show notes. Let me hear from you, and let me hear from you what area of your business would benefit greatly from you having a committed practice, and let me support you in that. That is what I had for you today. I love you. Take care. That is what I had for you in today's episode of Spiritual Business with Mariaestela. I hoped it served you well. For all of the deeds and details, click the link in the description, and if you want to support the spreading of this message, share it with a friend or on social media, or leave me a comment or a review. God bless.